Fabulous, Janelle. Thank you so much for doing this with me.
It's an honor.
Can we start at the very beginning? Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure thing. So I am one half of the messaging specialist company Strange Birds, and I specialize in product messaging, and my partner Anna specializes more in the marketing acquisition part. And so together we call it the full funnel, and really think about how to get all of your words pulling in the same direction from beak to tail. If you'll let me make a bird pun.
I love that. And then the emails we're going to look at today, because there is 7 of them, but they're all quite short. So it's kind of the series. Can you explain a little bit about how you came to be receiving these emails? So why you were on the list, and I'll bring up the first one ready for us
Sure.
to jump in.
So these emails are from a service called Taxes for Expats, and you can guess why I use them. I am a US citizen, but I don't live in the US, and I haven't lived in the US for all of my adult life. And one quirk of being in that category is that you still have to file anyway, US taxes. And it's a giant pain in the butt. Especially if you're in my situation, which I'm a business owner who doesn't live in the US, and I have assets in both the US and Spain where I live, and it's a nightmare. It's really awful. So I use a tax preparation service, which is still very stressful, but it helps me feel like I'm covering my butt a little bit more. So I've been using this TFX service for 3 or 4 years now. And then just in the last several weeks, I know you've got the dates on these, they sent me this sequence, which is an urgency sequence, telling me to prepay $300 now in order to get $50 off my final bill.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, this first email you got on the 20th of January. So like I said, there's 6 of them. They kind of go over about a month. So it's about 6 emails over the month. And this is the first one.
And
Um,
I think some nice extra context here is thinking about the dates that are relevant for tax season, right? For if you live in the US, then you're supposed to file by April 14th. So that's still pretty far off from January. And then if you live outside of the US, you get an automatic 2-month extension. So that's into the summer. So this is sent a full 6 months before I have to think about this. And remember, it's a thing that I hate thinking about. It's hugely stressful for me, right?
that's quite interesting to put it into that context. Yeah, because it's that, like you say, they know it's going to be a stress for you, but it's also quite nice that they're doing it now so that you feel there's time. Whereas I guess if they left this till April, it would all feel quite panicked. Like they're almost, yeah, I guess it's bringing that expert thing. Like we're the experts, we know that now's the best time to kind of be thinking about this.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah, and the opt-in that they want you to do is pretty low lift. Like you don't have to start in on your returns. They're not encouraging you to do that. They just want you to prepay, which is basically like lock in with our services. If you're going to send them money, then that means you are going to eventually use them when the time comes to fill out all your information and file your taxes. So it's a small ask in theory, but there's a lot of mental resistance because I hate paying my taxes.
this was one of my questions actually. So it's you prepay the $300, you get an extra $50 credit. In the context of this, is that quite a good incentive?
Oh, it was enough to get me to convert, wasn't it? Eventually, but not at first. So I looked up what was my bill with them last year, which I'm happy to share. For filing last year, I spent $875, which is like, oh God, it's painful to
Yeah,
do
just
that,
to get it
but I
filed.
have to.
That's not even the tax, it's just the
No, it's
filing.
not.
Yeah.
But I'm legally required to file, and I make the call that it is worth it to have somebody hold my hand on it, and ensure that I'm dotting all my I's, and crossing all my T's, you know? So a $50 discount if my bill is almost $900, that's some money, but it's not a ton. But like $50 is $50, right?
Yeah,
Like
better
that's
than nothing. Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess it works better than them just going, yeah, you should start prepaying, you should start preparing. There is that tiny incentive in there.
Oh, yeah, and if they started hounding me in January to start preparing, my answer would just be no. My answer was basically no for the first however many emails, 4 or 5 emails of this
Yeah.
sequence, because I just got rid of them. I didn't take action at all. I thought,
Yeah.
I don't care that you're holding out a $50 bill. My aversion to this topic is so strong that I'm going to completely ignore you. So like they're up against some very serious resistance, and I'm sure I'm
Yeah.
not the only one who feels this way about doing their taxes, right? And so it's a very difficult situation. They're a service that I don't want to buy, but I feel I must.
Amazing. Um, yeah, and the thing that strikes me as well is they're all quite short. So this is the length of the first one. It's pretty, yeah, they've used a bit of personalization, few emojis.
Yeah, in fact, I don't know if there's a I'm going to guess that that bottom section with the bullet points is quite personalized because it is specific things that applied to my taxes in previous years,
Okay,
and letting me
interesting.
know, hey, these are the dates that you really have to keep in mind. This is why you might feel some urgency about this beyond just that $50 bill that we're dangling in front of your face. Like there's some stuff that you need to know about. And I don't know that this is personalized, but it could be easily.
Yeah, yeah, like you say on your days, which is interesting, which means they're probably maybe have like the standard bit at the top here, but then they've got some kind of dynamic block in the bottom that brings in, if these are relevant to this segment, that kind of thing. So yeah, they are using that kind of possibly using that kind of segmentation, which it would be clever of them.
Yes. Yeah, it really would be because then I'm like, oh yeah, you're the ones that where I've already taken the hours to enter in all my information. Like the cost is really high to swap, not so much in money, but in terms of like time and mental load. It's a big deal to if I were to switch to somebody else. So they've already got all the stuff on me. So like their ability to segment the message is really strong potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yes, quite a lot of data, isn't it?
Mhm.
Fab. I will go ahead and bring up our second email.
Yeah, basically throughout this sequence, they just start turning the fire up. Um, And I love how short these are. It gets me to actually read the bit that's above the orange button at least. The bottom less so. If I were to critique this, I'd say that that bottom part is totally irrelevant. And look, those CTAs, you don't actually want people to be clicking on them. You just want them to be locking in with purchasing the $300 credit, right? So I
I think here as well, after everything you've said and that kind of resistance of, yeah, you don't want to do your tax, a lot of people won't be going to do their tax. We're not going to want to read these documents here on the IRS adjustments. So, yeah.
No, no, and the clientele of a tax prep service, like they want some hand holding, and they're not interested in tax. So adding this, hey, deep dive into our blog is not relevant here. I'd get rid of it and have it be just even shorter. Focus in on everything driving towards that one CTA, which is providing like a very tangible, clear benefit. I do like that the words on the button say specifically the benefit that you're going to get.
Yeah.
I mean, if it were to say the opposite, pay $300, like I'd never click it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they've kind of put it in first person to get my discount as well, which is
Mhm.
is quite always quite a good one. So then we've got email 3.
Yeah, and remember, at this point, I'm still ignoring them. Although I must have archived them and not thrown them in the trash because I could still pick them up. So, like, something in me thought, yeah, I'll do it, but I'll do it later, which is what I do with my taxes.
Yeah, and so to go back, yeah, the first one came through on the 20th of January. That second one was on the 4th of Feb. This is now on the 19th of Feb. So yeah, there's a kind of that couple of weeks in between these, but you're right, it's kind of constantly checking in with you. And we're starting to get some bold here. So you're getting closer to the cutoff.
You got the bold and italics, they're coming in strong. Yes, and this one's much shorter too. And I love actually the text below the button on this one where they let you know, hey, even if this came in February, you were saying?
Yep, this one's 19th of
Okay.
February.
So
Yeah.
February is still like at least 5 months out from what my deadline is. So that's a long time. That feels like forever. But they're letting you know even if that
Yeah,
doesn't feel long enough to you, like we can file for an extension for you. Don't, no problem. That could also be personalized because I have filed for an extension before. They know me, right? And so they start speaking maybe to my procrastination. Again, I don't know that this is personalized, but it could be. And it could very easily be.
absolutely. And then we're coming in with email 1, 2, 3. So we're on 4 now. And this one
Is this the
was
one that got
the
me?
15th of February.
Oh no, this still didn't get me. No. So this is the company still dangling that $50 in front of me and me saying, I don't want to think about this. It's not worth $50 for me to think about this. But yeah, they're reiterating things. I'm sure that their team is thinking maybe you might have missed the previous emails. I didn't. I'm just ignoring them. But who knows, you know? And so they're really making sure that message is reaching me.
Interesting. The only thing, because a lot of these, yeah, they are quite similar and reiterating the message, but this is the first one when they've kind of said, yeah, do you need help? Like, do you need help? Do you need to speak to someone? Um, yeah, and it's good that they've got this just reply to this email because it's not go to our contact us form. It's yeah, just hit reply and someone will come back to you.
Yeah, and as I've been working with these folks for years, I know that they actually are pretty responsive. Like I've already got that knowledge. I've had that interaction in the past. So yeah, the proof is already there for me as a returning customer. And then here I like that they've made it even more simple. Look, it's a 1, 2, 3 here, and the second step is optional, and the third one you don't have to do for a long time. You know, they're really trying to attack my procrastinating brain here, but this one still didn't work.
So let's see if is this the one? Email 5.
I think this is the one that they got me on, and this one did something different. Oh no, this is still not it. No, email fire is still a no. Oh my
We're
goodness.
going to
It
email
really
5 is
amped
the
this up
28th
here.
of
Yep.
February. And hang on, we'll get the email
Okay. Yeah,
6.
email 6, they brought out a new tool, and it was the one that got me to convert immediately upon reading it.
So this is the extension.
Mm-hmm.
So the
Yes.
yeah, the extension. So you missed out on their offer, but
Yes.
they're extending it just for you. Yeah, and actually, I looked at the subject line for this one was extended just for you.
That's right. So, like, you already missed the boat. You procrastinated. You knew we've been emailing you for months now about this $50 bill that we're dangling in front of you, and you've ignored it. You lose. Except we really like you, and we're gonna give you one more day to do it. And it, yeah, it got me. It got me, and I claimed my $50 savings now. That's what I did. Um, uh-huh. Oh, and this was also from a specific person. If you, I mean, supposedly.
Yeah,
So
which
yeah,
I
I'm
like. I
hoping
mean, although they have the only thing this one, I was like, no, they have like missed out on putting her signature in.
it did.
They'd
Yes.
forgotten that. And that's such a tiny like could happen to any of us. Like you just missed that bit. But I was like, that would have made this perfect.
Yes, I totally, it's a little sloppy around the edges. However, they do maybe know that I'm skimming this. I'm not reading every word of it. I don't want to be thinking about my taxes, so finally I decided 30 seconds of my time, I guess, is fine. I'll go in, make the prepayment. I know I'm going to be paying you anyway. Let's just do this. And I did not clock it when I read this email, but going back through and analyzing it, yeah, they missed the boat there.
The other thing I thought was clever here was obviously they've made it sound like it's from her, but it says, I noticed you were interested in our early bird offer, which means they've either sent this to people that have opened the other emails, or I don't know whether you clicked in any of the others, but they've obviously, they've probably, it sounds as if, again, there's hints of those, they've segmented you, they've seen that you've either opened or clicked, and now they're like, okay, we'll give you the extra, the extension because of that behavior.
Yes. Yeah, and it did make me feel like I was some kind of special loyal customer being rewarded, which is so silly because like I work in this business and I know how this like no they're not. They're just trying to get more people to convert. But it worked. It worked and I did it and whipped out my credit card and yeah.
Fabulous. And then we do have one more to kind of just go over. But this was quite interesting when you sent this. So this is the, oh, bear with me a second.
Yeah, I managed to dig up the one from last year, right? I found what I think is just the kickoff email of this exact same campaign from 2024. So I don't have the whole sequence. I must have deleted it. I don't know, but I thought it was interesting to kind of compare how their style has changed. And I don't know whether I converted last year or not. I don't. I try to erase all memories of working on my taxes. But this is interesting, I think, from an email perspective because it's a very different style.
Yeah, there's obviously straight off the bat a lot more imagery and design has gone into this and a lot more copy as well. And I feel, and I didn't notice this before when you sent this last time, but there's a whole different referral scheme as well that feels like it would be heavy lifting. But yeah, definitely quite different feel.
Yeah, I would love to know their numbers on this, but to me this email is so much weaker. Again, I don't have the full sequence. Maybe they went into a more directed like urgency forward message as the days went on. I'm not sure, but at least this kickoff email, this message is lost for me. Like there's a full 50% of this that's about their referral scheme rather than get my $50. And it dilutes both CTAs, in fact.
Yeah, because the offers up here, but it's not. It's grey. It's kind of just in with the copy. It's not kind of yeah. We've got the 50 up there, but yeah, like you say, it's quite lost unless you're going to sit there and actually read the email. But like you say, it's not something you're going to sit and want to read. Then
No.
the offer, invite your friends, and then all of the.
Yeah, this is how to make sure their emails show up in your inbox, which I, I'm, this is maybe a personal bugbear. I'm always kind of annoyed when companies do this. I can understand when it's a personal brand and you've taken the step to intentionally sign up for their newsletter. But if it's something like this, I feel like the onus is on the company to make sure that their emails don't get read as spammy, frankly. Like I'm not going to take all these extra steps in order to fix your delivery rates. I this is maybe controversial, but this occupies a ton of time. And why should I lift so many fingers for TFX? Like I don't like them that much. I pay them a lot of money, but we're not
Yeah, and
friends.
you know my thoughts on like all these best practices. For years, you told like in your welcome email, you should have this, add us to your, white. Make sure you whitelist us. Make sure you add it. And now I'm like, oh, if I see it in another welcome email, I know what to do by this. But I'm like, yeah, it's frustrating. And also, they've already acknowledged that you are a returning client at the top here. So surely, if you're a returning client and you're using their services, you'll be opening their emails. You'll be doing everything you can anyway to get like to help them out. So yeah, it seems irrelevant to have that down there in the bottom. Like you say, again,
Clutter.
taking it away from the main point of the email.
It's really visually noisy, and I feel like particularly in a subject like this, where it's a service that I must buy. I don't necessarily have to buy it from them, but I must do this. I have a lot of aversion to doing this, but it's something that I have to get. But I have a big emotional response of wanting to avoid it. They're giving me like a very, very concrete reward for booking in with them and like sealing the deal, like making sure that I make that big payment later when I want to actually file. Everything should just be hyper focused towards that. Like cut all the fluff. And I think they do a pretty good job of doing that in their 2025 sequence. This one less so.
I wonder if they've then, yeah, been really clever, looked at their stats and things from last year
Mhm.
and just said, right, okay, we'll strip it back. And like you said, doing a better job this year in that kind of urgency and getting the conversions.
Well, I see a couple things here that are different. They claim if you make a $300 prepayment within the next 2 weeks, we
Yeah.
know from the sequence from 2025 that that was over way more than 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
they warmed me up over the course of a month and a half at least.
Yes,
So they
yeah.
decided to
First
extend
email
it.
was 20th of January, and then you got the extended just for you on the 3rd of
That's
March.
right.
Yeah.
That's
So
right. And the way that it's framed here is we're offering you a $50 credit as a thank you, as a token of our appreciation, which again makes it feel weird to me as a consumer. This isn't a service that I want. I don't feel great about using these guys. It's okay. It gets it done. A very tedious, very hated task is ticked off. Great. I'm glad it's through. But these guys are not my buddies. And to suggest that we have that kind of relationship feels disingenuous and does not incentivize me to click. Whereas the other one was much more clear of like, take this little step, we'll reward you for having taken it. That's it. It feels more mercantile, I guess, which is how I feel about my relationship with taxes for expats. No shade, folks, if you're listening. Like, I appreciate your service. I'm not going to invite you to my barbecue, though. Sorry.
Yeah, I've been having this conversation recently a lot about, we hear a lot within email marketing at the minute about like, right, like you're talking to a friend, and I know I've kind of covered this before, but it's not applicable everywhere. Like it definitely has its place. And if it's like personal brands or even some product brands, you can do that. But things like this, they don't need to be overly friendly. You just need to know what you need to do, what the offer is. Yeah.
Yes.
All of
Yeah.
those kind of give me the ABC. That's all I need.
Exactly. Make
Yeah.
it extremely easy for me because this is already a headache. So remove all barriers to understanding your message because I've got my defenses up before I even open the email. So make it easy.
Fabulous. Any last observations or anything you wanted to cover? Oh,
I don't think so. This was so much fun to kind of look back at it and think, why did I convert on this?
yeah.
And examine my own behavior. So thanks for giving me the opportunity.
Before we finish up, will you please just tell us your website or your socials or where people can come and learn from you?
Yeah, so you can find us at strangebirds.land. It's probably the best place to find out a little bit more about what Strange Birds does and read a lot of bird puns besides. They're pretty fun. And then we do all of our publishing on LinkedIn. If you look up my name, you will find me.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Janelle.
Thank you, Vicky.